Hello everybody and good evening. Welcome to F1 tonight, race 11 of the season, and we are here at Hockenheim. You will have to excuse me this evening. I will not unfortunately be able to my full commentary. As you can probably tell, got a bit of a sore throat, bit of a cough and feeling pretty much down in the dumps, but I will still be broadcasting, and I will be making undoubtedly the odd comment during the course of the race, so please excuse me for any quiet periods, but we'll see what's happening. So we're in Q1 now and we have 20 drivers, so we have a full 20 drivers with us this evening. So let's go with Martin Parder-Cooper, who's on his out lap. It's also Marcel France is out at the moment. We'll go with Martin Parder-Cooper. So I'll keep quiet during the qualification, might put in the odd word here and there. So hopefully it won't detract too much from your viewing pleasure of the race. So for everyone that's watching this evening, again, just to let you know that there will be limited commentary, unfortunately, as I'm not able to give my full 100% this evening, but I will endeavour to do the best I can. So we were just riding on board there with Guido Airshine for Renault, set to 112.9 for this Q1. Tricky track, Hockenheim. We do have 3 DRS points. So the first DRS point is following turn 1 and takes us up to turn 2. The second DRS point is after turn 4, around turn 5, just before you get to turn 6, which is the hairpin. We then go finishing that sector 2, and in sector 3 the third DRS point takes us from the last turn, turn 17, past the start finish line and up to just before turn 1. So at this moment in time, Nicky Visser has set the provisional fastest time here in Q1 with a 112.0. Everyone is on the ultra softs, so let's turn that off there. So everybody's on the ultra softs. Basta Breed for Ferrari, he's set a 112.0, just coming into the pits now. Guido Airshine still out on track, he's the provisional third in this queue. Damie Hartman for Haas is set at 112.9. Marcel France is out with a 113. He obviously feels confident, as does Damie Hartman with that 112. Boy Williamson, he's on a 113.5. Marcel Dronig for Renault, 113.6. Martin Parder-Cooper's jumped out as well. Sander Herman, new Mercedes driver, is on a 114.2. Jerome Portma for Toro Rosso also jumped out. He's on a 114.8. John Donker's on a 115.5. So still to set a time, Peter Phillips and McLaren. Marco Pullen. I don't know if they're having issues here, because Marco Pullen hasn't actually gone out or indeed set a time, but he seems to have disconnected. Stan Drunkov, he's out on track at the moment for Mercedes to set a time. Oh, I do apologise, I thought we had the full 20 drivers. We don't, so we don't have Ryan Dronig this evening. We don't have Miguel Tormi, Ruben Bowman, Ruud Window, or by the looks of it, Seb Bogart. So we are with 15 drivers this evening. So undoubtedly, as we're with 15 drivers, that now explains my confusion with Q1, because obviously normally in Q1 we go from the 20 drivers to 15. In this instance, as we only have 15 drivers, Q1 I would suspect will be jumped, so drivers just getting a little bit of practice in. It doesn't really count for much, which is why you've seen so many of the drivers obviously pull out, such as Marco Pullen. Little point, because they will obviously still be competing in Q2. So for our viewers on YouTube that are tuning in to watch the race, so firstly, apologies for myself this evening. Not on top form this evening, so unfortunately my commentary will be fairly limited and not with the usual enthusiasm and gusto, because to be brutally honest, finding it a bit difficult to summon it up this evening with this stinking cold that I've got. But we go on, and the show must go on, so we are obviously broadcasting. As I say, I will look to commentate, but please do excuse me for commentary this evening. It will not be up to usual standards, so I apologise for that in advance. We have 15 runners and riders this evening. From what I can see, we have no Seb Bogart for Ferrari, which is interesting because he's actually heading up the Drivers' Championship at the moment. And his next closest challenger, Damien Hartman, in the Haas, is racing. So great opportunity for Damon to potentially take the lead, unless Seb is joining us later, but I will get confirmation of that during the course of qualification. Also, we have no Ruud Window for Williams. Ruben Bowman for Red Bull is not racing. Miguel Tori for Force India will not be racing, nor will be Ryan Dronig for Williams. We do, however, have Stan Drumkov for Mercedes, Marco Pullen for Sauber, John Donkel for Force India, Jerome Portmer for Toro Rosso, Zander Hermans for Mercedes, Mark Stappers for McLaren, Peter Phillips for McLaren, Martin Parder-Cooper for Red Bull, Marcel Drodig for Renault, Boy Williamson for Haas, Marcel France for Toro Rosso, Damien Hartman for Haas, Guido Erschein, who we're running with at the moment, for Renault, Bas de Breen for Ferrari, and Nicky Visser for Sauber. Please do bear in mind, obviously with the 15 runners and riders, Q1 will not count. We will start going from Q2, but clearly the driver's looking to just get a little bit of practice. And my correction there, we're not running with Guido Erschein, we're actually running with Peter Phillips at this moment. So just waiting for them to finish up their little bit of practice here in this queue as Peter Phillips comes into the pits. John Donkel still out on track at this moment in time. John Donkel in the Force India. John having a pretty good season so far this season, certainly better than his last season, and starting to shine through. He's currently 6th place in the championships for Force India. Ruben Bowman is in 5th place for Red Bull, having missed out on a number of races and DNF'd at the start of this season as well. Nicky Visser, well, he's still up there for Sauber. He's in 4 in the Drivers' Championship. Bas de Breen for Ferrari is currently 3rd. Damien Hartman, as I mentioned earlier, is 2nd on 117 points, and Seb Bogart is heading up the championship on 125 points at this moment in time. But as I say, looks like he's not racing this evening. So in that instance, this could be very interesting indeed for Damie if he positions himself well. And I've got confirmation that indeed Seb Bogart, Ruud Window, Ruben Bowman, Miguel Torni and Ryan Dronig will not be racing this evening. So we have 15 runners and riders, so clearly just a little bit of practice being done here in Q1, because normally in Q1 we go from 20 drivers down to 15 drivers. In this instance we only have 15 runners and riders with us this evening, so Q1 will be effectively null and void. So Q2 is really where we're going to make the decisions. Bear in mind obviously that on Q2 we go from 15 drivers down to 10, and those 10 drivers then go into Q3 to decide their grid positions 1 to 10 for the start of the race. Interestingly, in Q2, those drivers that do pass, so of the 15 drivers, the 10 that get through to Q3 will have to start the race on the tyre which they have qualified on in Q2. So example, if we've got say somebody that qualifies on ultra softs in Q2, in Q3 they might go on super softs, but they will have to start the race on those ultra softs, or indeed whatever tyre they set their time on in Q2. So we're just John Donkel now coming into the pits, and I think that's pretty much it. Yep, John Donkel last man in, and then we'll be going through to Q2. So, good evening everybody and welcome to F1 tonight, and we are here for race 11 of season 4. We are racing in 2018. The preceding seasons 1, 2 and 3 were raced under 2017 version of the game. So this is season 4 when we are racing in 2018. This is race 11 and we are here at the Hockenheimring in Germany for, guess it or not, the German Grand Prix. And Martin Paardekoper immediately out here in Q2. And remember that we are going from the 15 drivers down to 10 into Q3. So we're looking at dry conditions for this qualification. But for the race itself, we are looking at a clear start, but a very high likelihood of rain, which could get quite heavy, so it certainly will mix things up for this German Grand Prix. Riding with Martin Paardekoper, as I say now. As he's coming into the third sector, and he'll be starting his fast lap. So we'll run on board with him as he starts his lap. So he comes down to the final turn 17 now, and DRS point starts there, takes him up to turn 1 over the start finish line. So we're into turn 1. Second DRS point from turn 1, or excuse me, first DRS point from turn 1 to turn 2. Comes round 2, 3, 4. Second DRS point now after turn 4, leading down to turn 6. So he's going round turn 5 now. He's coming down to the hairpin turn 6. Nicely done. Good straight launch from here, leading into slight right leg of turn 7. Then we have hard left, turn 8, 9, into 10, 11, down into 12 now, into the final sector, into turn 13, left-hander long, brings him down to a little kink left of turn 14. Then we have right 15, turn 16, and then the final turn 17 on to the start finish straight. Martin Paardekoper heads up the board with a 1:13.6. Nicky Visser takes the lead in this queue with a 1:11.9. Damie Harmon sets a 1:13.7. Toro Rosso driver there, we've got France setting 1:14. Marco Pullen for Sauber setting a 1:14.7. Zander Hermans for Mercedes, new driver, 1:15.6. Boy Williamson for Haas. Not an ideal one there, 1:38. And we can see a bit of a mix on the tyre choices for a number of the drivers. So remember, it's the bottom 5 that will be dropped in this queue. Nicky Visser obviously setting the opening time of 1:11. I would expect that we'll be looking round about the mid 1:12s, possibly high 1:12 for the drop zone. And Bas Debris now for Ferrari, coming out on track. Important that Bas gets a good result here in Germany. He's currently third in the championship on 95 points. Ahead of him is Damien Hartmann on 117. So if Bas Debris were to win and Damien Hartmann not to place, he would actually jump second place, but only by 2 points. He'd be on 119 and Damien would still be on 117. So, as I say, important for Ferrari that Bas not only, well, hopefully gets a good start position, hopefully pole, but certainly first place. That's what he needs to aim for in order to ensure that Ferrari stay at the top of the Drivers' Championship. So as I said, a bit of a mixed bag, obviously, on the tyres. You've got Ultra Softs from Nicky Visser, Guido Ehrschein, Damien Hartmann, Marco Pullen, Zander Hermans, Marcel Dronig, Mark Stappers, John Donkel, Peter Phillips and Bas Debris. The other drivers, Martin Paardenkoper, Boy Williamson, Marcel France, Jerome Portma and Stan Drumkov are on the softs. Let's see how that serves them. Bas Debris now just coming round turn 6, finishing off sector 2. And Zander Hermans has actually retired from the session with a 1:15.0, so not too sure what's happening there. Very likely that he will actually go into the drop zone. Probably just not feeling too comfortable with his setup at this moment in time, but he is a new driver. It's only his second race, so third race actually, so this first season will be tricky for him as Bas Debris comes over the line and sets a 1:12.3. So I would expect these times to start coming down pretty soon. We're 7 minutes remaining of this Q2, and we still have Mark Stappers, John Donkel, Peter Phillips, Jerome Portma and Stan Drumkov to set times. See which one of those guys is actually out on track. Let's ride with John Donkel in the Force India, out on track at this moment in time as he comes over the line. Not set a time as yet. So only John Donkel and Peter Phillips to set times. So Marco Pullen for Sauber currently in the drop zone with that 1:14.7. Marcel France, Boy Williamson both on 1:14 as well. And really you want to get sub 1:14. I think is what we're going to be looking at the end of this queue. I did say 1:12s, mid 1:12s, but looking at it, I think that may have been a little bit too enthusiastic. So certainly 1:13s. I would suspect at this moment in time the drop zone will be around about the 1:14 mark as the drivers improve. John Donkel coming round now. Let's see what he can do this time. And he goes in provisional 6 with a 1:12.9. Peter Phillips for McLaren now the only driver not to set a time in this Q2 as yet. Comes over the line and he sets 1:13.7, so that puts him in P10, provisional P10 for this Q2. So only just out of the drop zone, but I suspect that that will drop down. So Damien Hartmann He's on his outlap. Boy Williamson, his teammate for Haas. So both Haas drivers on their outlap at this moment in time. I'm not too sure how close they are to one another. Not too close, so they can't give each other a tow. Also, Peter Phillips staying out at this moment. Marcel France in Toro Rosso. Sorry, Marcel France, yep, Toro Rosso in the pits at this moment in time. Zander Hermans say he's dropped out. Jerome Portman also in the pits for Toro Rosso. So both Toro Rossos in the pits. Boy Williamson now starting his fast lap. Let's ride on board with Boy Williamson as he's coming up to turn 2, 3, round 4, second DRS point, round turn 5, long turn 5 here, and then coming down to turn 6, the hairpin. Nicely done out of there. Straight launch then down to the right leg of turn 7. Then we come up to the left brake turn 8. Round turns 10 and 11. Into the third zone now, coming up to turn 12. Now the left-hander of turn 13. Then left kink of 14, right of 15, into the right of 16. Ooh, off track there. Final turn, turn 17. Don't know if he will be able to improve on that time, and he does. Goes up to P4. So that has now dropped Peter Phillips into the drop zone. Peter Phillips just coming around the third sector now into the final set of turns. Don't think he's going to be able to better that time. Certainly doesn't look at it from here. No. So Peter Phillips needs to stay out. Marcel France in the Toro Rosso now. He's in the third sector as well. Oh, and he goes off track there. No, that's scrubbed that one. And Jerome Portman still in the pits. So we've got just over 2.5 minutes remaining. Marcel France still with the opportunity to better his time, as is Peter Phillips. Martin Parder Cooper still in the pits, but the one of the Toro Rossos, Marcel France, I think that is. Or it could be Martin Parder Cooper, not too sure. Looked like one of them was coming out. Oh, and it was Jerome Portman coming out of the pits. So both Toro Rossos now out on track, Marcel France and Jerome Portman. Peter Phillips still out on track as well. Martin Parder Cooper still in the pits. So that drop zone at the moment is a 1:13.3. So really what these guys want to try and aim for to assure their place in that Q3 is sub that 1:13. Marcel France now coming into the third sector. Let's ride with him. So Marcel France does not. Oh, right off track there. So that would have scrubbed that lap as well. So I think Marcel France now has pretty much not an awful lot more he can do. So just to confirm, as I mentioned earlier, we will be looking for a dry start to the race, but it looks as if there will be rain that will come during the course of the race. We're not too sure when or indeed how heavy it may be, but it will certainly mix things up. So Peter Phillips, he's in the pits as well now. Marcel France coming around, but I don't think, well, he needs to get pedal to the metal if he's going to have another opportunity. He's in sector 3 now. We've got 20 seconds in which he can do something with it, and should have just enough time to allow him for one more flying lap. So as he comes over the line now. So he will have the opportunity for one more final lap. He does actually go up to P10 with a 1:13.2. So that will be enough to get him into Q2. And let's have a look at those drivers who are going to be starting on the softs. Now, interestingly, the only driver that's going to be starting this race on the soft is going to be Stan Drunkov in the Mercedes. So keep an eye out for that, because clearly Stan is going to be looking to go a little bit deeper into this race this evening, and Marcel not having much fun there on turn 6. So he might be able to improve on his time, but no great shakes if he doesn't, because he is through to Q3 and dropped are Marcel Dronig for Renault, Martin Paardenkoper for Red Bull. So Marcel Dronig for Mercedes, for Renault will be taking P11 in the 6th row. Alongside him will be Martin Paardenkoper in the Red Bull. Row 7 will be Peter Phillips in the McLaren, and alongside him will be Jerome Portmer in the Toro Rosso. And P15, I'm pretty sure is going to be Marcel France, but we'll confirm that in just a couple of seconds. So let's go in the drop zone. So Marcel Dronig for Renault, say P11, Martin Paardenkoper for Red Bull, P12, P13, Peter Phillips for McLaren, P14, Jerome Portmer for Toro Rosso, and sorry, Zander Hermans will be bringing up the rear in a P15. So through are Marcel France for Toro Rosso, Stan Drunkov for Mercedes, John Donkel for Force India, Marco Polo for Sauber, Mark Stappers for McLaren, Boy Williamson for Haas, Damien Hartmann for Haas, Bastien Breen for Ferrari, Guido Ershine for Renault, and Nicky Visser for Sauber. Remember, the one to watch out for at the start of this race will be Stan Drunkov in the Mercedes, because he will be the only driver starting on softs. All the others will be starting on super softs. So we're into Q3 now, and this is to decide the final 10 places for these drivers. This is F1 tonight, season 4, race 11, and quite a critical race for the championship. We're halfway effectively through the championship, and heading the championship at this moment is Seb Bogart for Ferrari with 125, and Marcel France, their first driver out. He's closely followed by John Donkel. But yeah, so Seb Bogart won't be racing this evening. He's heading the championship on 125, but close behind him on 117 is Damien Hartmann for Haas. So every opportunity for Damien Hartmann to overtake Seb Bogart this evening and take first place in the championship. Bastien Breen for Ferrari is currently running in 3rd place. He's on 94 points. If he were to win this race and Damien Hartmann not to place, he would overtake Damien Hartmann in the Drivers' Championship by 2 points. But remember, that's only if he wins and only if Damien Hartmann does not place in the points. So quite critical for Ferrari this evening. Nicky Visser, he's currently in 4th. He's been very consistent this season with his podium finishes, and that's pushed him up into 4th place in the championship. So keep an eye on Nicky Visser as well. Ruben Bowman for Red Bull, he's currently in 5th. He's not racing this evening. John Donkel for Force India, he's having a great season as well. He's currently 6th in the championship. And Boy Williamson for Haas, he's currently 7th. Guido Ershine for Renault is 8th. Martin Paardenkoper for McLaren, for Red Bull. Martin Paardenkoper for Red Bull is 9th. Mark Stappers for McLaren is 10. Ruud Windahl for Williams is 11. Marco Pullen for Sauber is 12. Marcel Dronig for Renault is 13. Ryan Dronig for Williams, 14. Miguel Tourney for Force India, he's 15. And Marcel France, 16. Jerome Portmer, 17. Peter Phillips, 18. And Stan Drunkov bringing up the rear of the championship at this moment in time on 8 points in 19th place. So we're running on board with Marcel France for Toro Rosso, first driver out at pits, first to set a time, as he's into sector 3 now, coming around the final set of corners. He comes round onto the start-finish straight. What can he open up with? Nothing, because unfortunately he went off track, but John Donkel sets a 1:12.7. Nicky Visser 1:12.4, takes provisional pole. Marco Pullen 1:12.6. So Marco Pullen, Sauber driver, pulling out the bag there. Good result for him. Certainly put a smile on his face. Mark Stappers, he's on a 1:12.6 for McLaren. Guido Erschein just taken provisional P2 with a 1:12.6, but Nicky Visser now jumps to 2 as Damien Harmon took a 1:12.2, went to 1, but now Boyne Williamson has gone top of the league with a 1:12.2. So these times are really dropping, and we've got 8 minutes remaining of this queue, so I would not be surprised if we do see a sub 1:12 time. I'm pretty sure that all drivers are going to be on the Ultra Softs. Let's have a quick look at that just to make sure. Yes, indeed. So all drivers are on the Ultra Softs. So Bastabreen, this ride with Bastabreen hasn't set a time as yet, and pretty much everyone is out on track at this moment in time, as the track is definitely getting well seasoned in and these times are dropping. So Bastabreen now in the 3rd sector, just coming round to turn 15 and 16. Oh, he's coming into the pits. He's not happy. So Bastabreen obviously looking to make a few adjustments. Hasn't set a time as yet. Stan Drumkoff for Mercedes. He's just coming round now. Let's see what Stan can do. Oh, look at that. A 1:11.9. Fantastic result for the Mercedes driver there, Stan Drumkoff. And remember, as I said earlier, he qualified in Q2 on the set of softs. So if he maintains that, this is going to be very interesting indeed, because he will be able to go deeper into this race on those softs, as opposed to all the other drivers who will be on the Ultra Soft. So this is very interesting indeed, and a great show there from Stan Drumkoff, new to F1 tonight this season, the Mercedes driver. And he got about 5-6 races under his belt with F1 tonight, but showing some great results there so far in this queue. We've got 6 minutes remaining. Bastabreen still in the pits doing those final adjustments. Marcel France for Toro Rosso into the pits now. Bastabreen coming out of the pits now. And he needs to get a time down, and he definitely needs to go sub that 1:12 now. So Bastabreen out on track on his out lap now. Should give him the opportunity to get 2 or 3, well, certainly 2 fast laps down. So Stan Drumkoff, surprise there, taking P1. Boy Williamson for Haas, provisional P2. Damien Hartman, provisional P3 for Haas. Guido Erschein, P4. Nicky Visser, P5. Mark Stappers for McLaren, P5. Marco Pullen for Sauber, P7. John Donkel has actually retired, and he's currently P8. So he could drop down the line a little bit, so not too sure why he's decided to come out at this stage, but he seems happy enough with that. Marcel France for Toro Rosso, provisionally P9, and Bastabreen, as I say, still to set a time. As he comes down now on his hot lap round turn 2, into 3 and 4, into sector 2 now. Let's ride on board Basta Breen as he comes down to turn 6. Not quite hitting the apex there, but a good exit. Down to a dog leg of 7. Right-hander here of 8 now. Nicely taken. Round 9, 10, 11. Coming up to turn 12. In the 3rd sector now. Hard right, left here, sorry, of turn 13. Little kink of 14 and 15, leading to turn 16. And then final turn 17. What can Basta Breen do? Looking good so far. No, it's not actually. 1:11.7. But he didn't actually, instead of 1:11.7, but I said it wasn't looking good because unfortunately he went off track somewhere along the line. So that time was actually not counted. So clearly Bass is going to be feeling the pressure now. He's only got just over 3 minutes to set a fast lap. And this is a surprise. Bass still not happy. He's coming into the pits. He's got 2 minutes remaining of this queue. What on earth is he going to do? He has to start on those ultra softs because that's what T qualified in Q2 on. But his time is limited. He's only got probably about 30 seconds to make what adjustments he needs and get out ASAP. So Stan Drumkov is our provisional P1, but Nicky Visser just takes that from him with a 1:11.90, and Stan Drumkov was on 1:11.97, so 7/100ths of a second between those two drivers at this moment in time. So great show certainly from Stan Drumkov, new to the season. And now Boy Williamson gets up there with a 1:11.8. So these guys now starting to find their pace, and Stan Drumkov was holding the glory for a few laps, but he's now down to P3. Still a good position, but Nicky Visser now in row 1 alongside Boy Williamson in the Haas. And Bass is again out on his outlap, so he's only got one last go. Boy Williamson, yeah, has run out of fuel on that push to get to that first pole position. And Nicky Visser coming round now, Stan Drumkov as well, Damie Hartman, Guido Airshine, Mark Stappers, everybody out on track. So still what he wants to call, and now Nicky Visser sets another fast time with a 1:11.823. So he's actually knocked out 7/10. Sorry, not 7/10, 7/100ths. Still on that 8. Has slightly bettered his time by a few thousandths. Let's ride with Basta Breen now as he comes round on his hot lap. This is the critical lap. He cannot afford to make any mistakes on this lap. This is critical for his championship. As it comes into sector 2 now. Into turn 6. This is critical. He needs to get good pace now at the end of this sector 2. not looking too bad at this moment in time. Oh, no, don't think that was sufficient to discount his lap. He's into sector 3 now. Really got to make it count. Very tight indeed as he comes round. Oh, very close. Can he set a time on this or not? Oh, and he does. Look at that. Right at the knock-ins. In true Bas de Breen Ferrari style. He takes that pole position with a 1:11.672. Nicky Visser will be alongside him in row 1 in the Sauber. Row 2 will be Boy Williamson in the Haas alongside Stan Drumkov in the Mercedes. Great result for the Mercedes driver there in the second row. Remember, he is starting on the softs. He's the only runner in that top 10 that will be on the softs. Guido Ershine, he will be in the third row. In P5, Damie Hartman for Haas will be alongside him. Then fourth row, Mark Stappers, P7 alongside him will be Marco Pullen for Sauber. John Donkel will be in row 5 and alongside him will be Marcel France for Toro Rosso. So here we are now for the start of this F1 tonight. Season 4 race, race 11 here at the Hockenheimring in Germany for the German Grand Prix. We had a bit of a surprise during Q3. Stan Drumkov taking provisional P1 with a 1:11.97. And interestingly enough, he held that for a few laps, but in the end, right at the last possible opportunity, Bas de Breen sets a fantastic time of 1:11.672, takes that pole. Nicky Visser for Sauber, he'll be alongside him. He did a 1:11.823. In the second row will be Boy Williamson. He did a 1:11.896, and then Stan Drumkov will be P4 on that second row, and he did a 1:11.97. So the drivers just starting their processional lap now. So let's ride with them. So Bas de Breen, as I said, he'll be in P1. Alongside him, Nicky Visser in the Sauber, P2. Boy Williamson in the Haas is P3. Stan Drumkov for Mercedes is P4. Guido Ershine for Renault is P5. Damie Hartman for Haas, P6. Mark Stappers for McLaren. Mark Stappers for McLaren will be P7. Marco Pullen for Sauber, P8. John Donkel for Force India will be P9. Marcel France for Toro Rosso will be P10. Marcel Drodig for Renault is P11. Martin Pardecoper alongside him for Red Bull in P12. Peter Phillips is on the 7th row for McLaren in P13. Jerome Portmer for Toro Rosso will be alongside him. And then in row 8, bringing up the rear of the field, will be Sander Hermans in the Mercedes. Let's have a quick look here. So everybody, apart from Jerome Portmer and Stan Drumkov, will be on the Ultrasoft at the start of this race. So Standrunkov is actually on the soft, but interestingly, Jerome Portmer is on the mediums, so he's looking to go a lot deeper into this race. And remember, we are looking at starting with a dry start for the race. However, we will be progressing to wet conditions. So it's going to be interesting to see how that then plays out during the course of this race, and indeed when that rain will come down. We are, as I say, expecting rain, so we would expect the drivers to certainly go on to intermediates. It won't be at the end of the race, so it'll be somewhere probably after halfway through or before. So drivers now lining up for the start of this race. So 3, 4, 5 lights, and they are off for the start of the F1 2017 German Grand Prix at Hockenheim. Bastabreen leads the way, Nicky Visser behind him, Boy Williamson is in third, Standrunkov stays in third, but Bastabreen is going off track there. Oh my goodness, and Guido Ehrschein is already out. Oh my goodness, what happened there? That was terrible. Big collision there between the drivers. Unfortunately, I missed that on race control. But Guido Ehrschein was certainly looked like, I'm not too sure whether one of the drivers behind him lost traction or what happened, but he was taken out in a major way, and the virtual safety car is out, so everybody having to watch now their sector times. But that was, well, that was bad. However, on the plus side, it might be that Guido will be able to come in and assist with the commentary this evening. As I say, as you can probably tell, I'm not on top form this evening. So, unfortunately, his loss could well be our gain, but sad to certainly see him go out so early in the race. But Mark Stappers, he's moved up a couple of places. Sander Hermans, well, he's moved up quite a few as well. He's moved up 6 places from the back of the race, from the back of the track, right up to P6. Damien Hartman, he's dropped down 2 now, and he's in the pits. So don't know if there's any contact there between Damien Hartman and Guido Ehrschein. I think they did actually start alongside each other, if I remember correctly. But undoubtedly we'll find out in due course. So those of you, I've just invited Guido Ehrschein to the party. Hopefully he'll be able to join us. So Damien Hartman and John Donkel in the pits there. So they've clearly suffered. And we are back under race conditions. So Marcel France now closing in on the back of Marco Pullen. Mark Stappers in the McLaren closing in on the back of the Mercedes Standrunkov. Remember, Stan is on the soft tyres. And Nicky Visser sets the provisional fastest time there. And Guido has indeed joined the party. So Guido, I'm sad to see you go out so early. What happened?
I don't really know. I probably got caught on the right rear by, I think, a Haas, but I don't know if I turned too early or I turned too late. I think I was on the racing line, and it's probably just one of those things in the first corner, in the first lap. It's busy, traffic everywhere, and stuff happens there.
We just caught that. I think it may have been Damien Hartman that there seemed to be some sort of contact. Couldn't quite make it out because obviously we were watching the start of the race a little bit further down the field. But it looks like I think Damien Hartman may have just clipped the back of you, and obviously you went straight into the barrier and out there. So great shame, because you would setting some great times during the qualifications, and indeed, you know, we're right up there.
Yeah, it was one of those tracks that you know this a bit more to my liking. Not too much space and then fast cornering. I like that bit. And then, well, you know, it's just not meant to be tonight. But in the end, we had a lot of the qualification was good. And
yeah, certainly.
The things that I would have liked to see was how far I would have gotten with 4 sets of used tires, because I've used all of my tires.
Oh wow, well that was interesting. Well, interestingly enough, we've got a couple of drivers that have started on, I mean everyone's on the ultra softs. However, Stan Drumkov, I just wanted to mention, I mean Stan's done a great result here for a new driver to F1 tonight. Did have provisional pole in Q2 for a little while, but then went down to P4, but a good show for him. But interestingly, he's the only driver out on track on softs at the moment, and Jerome Portman's actually on the medium tyres, so clearly they're looking to go in a lot deeper, but we are expecting rain during the course of this race. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out for those two drivers. But Stan Drumkov on the softs at this moment, I'd say, has a bit of an advantage, really.
Yeah, he does have an advantage, yeah, but then again, I think it's going to be raining in about 15 minutes. It's going to be heavy rain that's going to be coming, so that's going to well, mix it up a bit, you know, and then the rain drivers become flying past, because then it's going to be hard. And it looked like it's going to dry up after that. It's going to be a little bit of rain after that, and then maybe dry again, so that would be fun. You get everything there.
It'll certainly mix it up, but I'm just on board now with Nicky Visser. Nicky's really closed down on the back of Bass now. He's literally, well, 1-2 tenths off the back of him, having to back off a little bit there as they're going around sector 3, but Nicky Visser's looking super fast and looks as if he might be able to take that P1 from Basta Breen on track at the moment.
Yeah, I'm looking a bit further down. There's Summer Herman's also in the fight. Oh, he almost lost the car on the outside there.
And he's going wide there, and your teammate Marcel Dronig right behind him.
So that looks like a fun little battle there.
And Sander going wide again. Sander, I mean, to be fair, Sander, I think this is only his third race.
Third race, mind you, he has a controller. He is very fast, but then it's going to be how the tires will react to his steering with the controller, and well, in the long run, you know, these 100% races are just a bit different than 50 to 25%, because you know.
And Marcel is actually taking that position from him before they get down. I think it's to turn 6. Yes, it is. So Marcel takes the place from Zander Hermans, takes P9 before they get down to turn 6. Martin Pardakuper for Red Bull is P8. Marcel France for Toro Rosso P7. Marco Pullen, he's up in P6. Important for Marco to get a finish. He's had a few DNFs. He's had a good start to the season, but I think it's important that he gets a finish out of this race this evening for his own benefit, really.
I think he has some confidence on this track, so we see what happens, especially when it's going to rain.
Yeah, so Marco Pullen for Sauber, he's currently in P6. Mark Stappers doing very well indeed, and Mark Stappers, just to remind everyone, is the only driver in F1 tonight that races without any assists at all. And just to make it that little bit more difficult, actually races in cockpit view as well.
Yeah, it's awesome. He's driving with everything off, and the racing line is off. And in practices when we drive together, we just having a ball and trying stuff. But if we want to annoy the guy, we take out the signs on the left and the right of the field, so he doesn't know the distance the corner comes. In the end,
that's just dirty.
This guy knows how to drive. You know, he locks up a bit, but he's got this feeling that the car is awesome to see him drive. once in a while,
It is.
he just surprises everybody like that.
Well, you know, he is consistent. He hasn't obviously topped, you know, been placing top in the field. But to be honest with you, as the more I watch him, I think it's only a question of time because, again, he's relatively new to F1 tonight, and he's really just building up his racecraft at the moment. And I expect to see him getting his way up the F1 league within the next couple of seasons.
Oh, definitely. You know, and then he's that step forward. You know, I wonder if he drives with assists on, with some assists on. How he drives
So,
then.
apologies, while we've been talking there, unfortunately we missed it, and apologies to those that are watching the broadcast to say I'm not quite on the ball this evening, but hopefully Guido can give me a little bit of a hand here. But Nicky Visser has actually taken first place from Basta Breen, and not only has he taken first place, but he's actually pulling out a lead from him. He's 2 seconds ahead of him now.
We had a small fight going on Particle versus France, and Marcel's right behind that.
Indeed, the midfield battles happening here now for P7 as Marcel France is closing in on the back of the Red Bull of Martin Pardakuper. But as you say, your teammate Marcel Dronig not too far behind at this moment in time. Be interesting to know.
These two fighting, and then probably the third one's going to get away with it.
Well, that's normally what happens. What you normally see is that the front two competing, something goes wrong, they make an error, and then the guy that's behind takes full advantage. And Marcel nearly taking advantage there, but Marcel France is going so wide out of those corners. It suggests to me that he's got quite low downforce, because certainly on the rear of the car, because he's really going quite wide into some of these corners.
Maybe he's just pushing it too hard, trying to
get there.
Because obviously you see the red arrow behind you, and if you see it long enough, it makes you nervous, and then you make mistakes. So maybe it's something like that. But they're on a long straight here. He's got to pass. He's on the side. Will he let him live?
Yeah, lets him live. So he stays behind. But I'm just watching up the top now, and Boy Williamson has just taken second place from Basta Breen, and Bas is just not. He's just not feeling comfortable. And also Stan Drumkov now. So Stan Drumkov now moves up into P3, overtaking the Ferrari of Basta Breen. I mean, it looks to... Oh, and Stan Drumkov goes off track a bit there, but stays on. Oh, only just manages, goes off track. And Basta Breen is actually coming into the pits.
Oh, he must have something.
So I'm not too sure if he's had an issue.
Can you stay on the race and look for the pits?
Run with him. I just want to see if he's going to have a nose change. He's going on to the soft set of tyres. No nose change. So clearly, he hasn't been comfortable. I mean, he did set that fast time, but in Q3, but he hadn't set a time prior to that. He was clearly having issues, and then, you know, he managed to pull it out of the bag at the last minute. But clearly, this isn't the track for Ferrari. And Nicky Visser is now leading this race with a good gap. He's almost 5 seconds down the road from Boy Williamson. And Boy Williamson second. Stan Drumkov in the Mercedes, sorry, is in third. And Mark Stappers for McLaren is now fourth, who we were talking about. Marco Pullen fifth. Martin Pardakuper sixth. Marcel France seventh. Marcel Dronig, your teammate, he's in eighth. Peter Phillips, he's in 9. Basta Breen now has dropped back to P10 after going on to that set of softs. Zander Hermans is P11. Jerome Portmer, P12. Damie Hartman for Haas is 13. And John Dunkel bringing up the rear in P14 at this moment in time. But yeah, a bit of a surprise there. Bas just doesn't seem to be, that Ferrari just doesn't seem to be dealing with this track too well this evening.
Well, I don't know really what happened, but obviously it could be the problem that occurred in the queues, and maybe he just burned up his
Stan Drumkov
tires.
now, sorry to interrupt, but Stan Drumkov making the move on Boy Williamson and actually taking the place from him. Fantastic move there. This guy, and I can see the rain is just starting to come down now, so there is light rain coming down. Zander Hermans picks up a 3-second time penalty, but that was a great move from Stan Drumkov there on the Haas of Boy Williamson.
So if it starts to rain, then everybody's going to pit in, and then Bas has a double, already has pitted twice.
The rain is definitely coming down. It's quite light at the moment, so I'd say they'd be able to go if it stays like this for a few laps yet. Excuse me, but yeah, this is going to be interesting. This is now when it's going to start to get interesting, as this rain starts to come down. Now, the other thing as well is that Stan Drumkov on those softs is going to have a slight advantage in these wet, or let's say damp conditions, because the other guys are on the ultra soft, so it's certainly going to make it a bit of a difference. And let's quickly just check where we are with the tyres. So Stan Drumkov, yeah, he's on the softs. Everyone else around him up to P9 is on the ultra softs. Bas de Breen we saw come in, he's P10, he's on the softs. Everyone else on the ultra softs. 2 drivers now on the mediums. Jerome Portman started on the mediums, but John Donkel also went on to the mediums.
Peter Phillips is
a bit of a change there.
Behind Marcel Groening, and he's gone wide at the first corner.
So Marcel Droning now, yeah, closing down on Marcel France in a Toro Rosso, but you can see just in the background there, Peter Phillips and Bas de Breen as well. So they're both fighting it out as they come around turn 6, and Bas moves ahead of Peter Phillips out of turn 6. He's now closing down on Marcel Droning. So Marcel is going to be seeing those red chevrons indicating that he's got that Ferrari right behind him as they're coming into sector 3 now. And this could be very, very tricky indeed, as these conditions are definitely starting to get wetter. We've still got a dry racing line, so not too much of a problem there. And look at that, Marcel's so close to the back of Marcel France and the Toro Rosso there as they're coming round turn 15 into 16. And Marcel France weaving a little bit there.
It's going to be slippery.
The racing line's still not looking too bad. It's Bas going off the racing line. That's going to be tricky for him. But he's trying to do it now round that turn 2. Can't quite make it, but he's all over the back. And he's alongside now Marcel Droning as they're coming round 5 down to 6. He's going to look to try and take the inside if he can into turn 6, and he might be able to do a double overtake and actually take the Toro Rosso as well. Oh, but look at this! He's so busy with the Toro Rosso that he's given Marcel Droning the opportunity in the Renault to move ahead of him again. So real fight going on here for P10 to 7. Stan Drumkov, Peter Phillips going wide there. Marcel France has dropped that to P10. But Bas de Breen now putting the pressure on Marcel Droning. But this rain is now starting to get considerably heavier. Who's retired? Boy Williamson. And Boy Williamson is out. Boy Williamson has clearly crashed somewhere around the track and he is out. So the Haas driver, Boy Williamson, out of this race. Unfortunately, we can't go back to see where that occurred.
Yeah,
Bas de Breen now all over the back of this Renault. Sorry, Guido, you were saying?
Sorry about that. No, I think it happened in the last corner somewhere. But,
oh, dearie me! And Bas de Breen goes off! He spun it off the track.
He's still alive.
He's still living, but he's taken out his nose. That is not what he wanted. And that was coming out of turn 3. So he's still got 2 sectors to get round to that pit. And that's dropped him back down to P11. He's really not having a very good race at all this evening, is he?
No, not really. But then again, it's been a long week, and I could expect something like this, but he's going for it though.
Well, he certainly won't give up, that's for sure.
Let's see if we can get Boy Williamson here. You just stick with it, and I'll try and
get Boy in. and then you guys can
kick him
take
out.
a bit of control. Just let me know where you want me to go. It'll certainly help me out.
Yeah.
So Marcel Drodig is up in 6th place. Marco Pullen, he's up in the 5th, but this rain is really starting to come down now, and I think these guys are going to have to look to go on to intermediates pretty soon. Martin Pardekoper, he's closing in on the back of Mark Stappers, and that's for 3rd place. He takes him. Yes, he does. Into turn 6, Martin Pardekoper in the Red Bull takes Mark Stappers, so takes 3rd place. Stan Drumkov in the Mercedes, still in 2nd, but he is closing in, still close in behind Nicky Visser in the Sauber.
Really? I don't know what Master Franz is doing, but he looks like he's trying to torpedo the Haas there.
Well, his teammate Jerome Portman has gone through, but he's clearly having issues, Marcel France, there with traction. So traction is starting to be an issue for Marcel France. Without doubt, Nicky Visser is into the pit. Stan Drumkov is obviously looking to get the cut now because he's stayed out on track. So Stan Drumkov is hoping to get the cut on Nicky Visser, who's in the pits. Nicky Visser clearly going to be going on to the intermediates. First man in. Yes, he is. He's on the intermediates. Stan Drumkov now really needs to try and get as fast a lap as he can. And there is the opportunity here. He is on the softs. There are some high-speed straights. He's just got to be careful into those corners and on those exits, really. So we are running on board with our current race leader, Stan Drumkov. He's performed very well so far this evening, and certainly in queues. He was the only driver to start on the softs, and it could be that this is where it pays off for him now.
I think much of France has gone on the full wets.
An interesting
Everybody's
choice.
on the intermediates, and looks in my list, but I can't really see because it's really small. But yeah, there's Marcel France on the full wets. That's going to be definitely an interesting choice because he's probably not going to be able to get some grip on those tires.
He's not going to be able to get any traction. That is a bad move, I think, from Marcel France going onto full wets. And Stan Drumkov is coming into the pits now, as I'm sure Martin Pardekoper will be as well. He's currently in P2. Nicky Visser is the man I'm watching now because he's coming round. He's behind Martin Pardekoper. Martin Pardekoper into the pits. Stan Drumkov still in the pits, so Nicky Visser should be able to take first place back. Stan Drumkov is coming out, but Nicky Visser overtakes him and indeed gets out back into first place again. So Stan Drumkov wasn't able to do the cut in that instance. Gap 2.3, 2.4 seconds to Nicky Visser, our race leader at this moment in time. Mark Stappers, well, he'll stay in 4th because Martin Pardekoper is getting out on track before him.
Portman spun.
Yeah, Jerome Portman spinning in turn 15. Clearly, he's going to be coming in. Oh, no, he's not. He's staying out. Oh, well, of course, he's on the intermediates. So Jerome Portman spun on 15, but he's staying out now. Peter Phillips is into the pits. Marcel France moves up to 9. Zader Hermans in the Mercedes, doing well. He's up to P8 now. Marco Pullen, he's dropped down to P7 after coming in. Damie Hartman, he's in 6. Marcel Drodig, however, has moved up to 5. Mark Stappers, he's in 4. Martin Pardekoper for Red Bull is 3. Stan Drumkov for Mercedes is in P2, and Nicky Visser for Sauber is maintaining that P1. We're on lap 17, 67, 50 laps to go, so we're almost a third through this race.
I don't think Boy's coming in because he already went offline, so I don't know what happened there.
Well, clearly frustration if he's gone offline as well.
Yeah, oh, sector
probably going to feel
two, yellow flag.
So sector 2, yellow flag now, gone. So it's pretty much evened out. I think everyone now is on the intermediates. Let's just double check. Yeah.
Oh,
the only one that is different is Marcel France, who's on the wets.
Portman's already also at DNF.
Yeah, so Jerome Portman, he's out as well.
Oh, France is really sliding. Looks like
Yeah,
he's in.
he actually would be. He's the only one that's on the wets. I mean, the only advantage he's going to get on that is if that rain comes down considerably heavier within the next 1 or 2 laps. Other than that, it's a very bad call because he would have been better off staying on the intermediates and then coming in for wets if he needed them.
Yeah, I don't understand what he's doing now because he's just drove past the pits again while he's sliding everywhere.
Well, he's praying that the rain's going to get heavier.
Driving like this.
He's got to be praying that this rain is going to get heavier very rapidly, and it will give him the opportunity to move up the field as people pit. That is his only hope at this moment in time. But there's quite a substantial lead if we look between 1 and 2 to 3. I mean, Martin Pardubic was 17 seconds behind Stan Drumkov, and Stan Drumkov 4 seconds behind Nicky Visser. So those front 2 drivers are certainly pulling out a lead as it looks at this moment in time. Mark Stapper's looking good for McLaren in P4.
Danny Hartman, please took a time penalty. I'm just going to check how much time penalties he has.
Damie Hartman is currently in P5.
Oh, that one he had to stop and go. Now he's got one under penalty. He's on 5th place, so he will already done his stop and go, probably.
So I'm just going to do a quick bit of calculation. So Damie Hartman, he's currently in 5th. So if Damie Hartman actually finishes in 5th place, he will take the lead of the championship.
Nice, that's different.
In fact, if he actually places in 6th, he will tie with Sebastian Bogart for 1st place in the championship. So he needs to get at least P6 or higher, and at this moment in time, it's looking pretty good. None of his closest competition is there. Seb Bogart obviously not racing this evening, and Basta Breen, well, he's really suffered. He's down in P10 at this moment in time. I'm sure he'll be able to get his way through the field.
That was the end of France.
France. Marcel France is off
on his own. I was on board, and he just lost it. He didn't have the grip.
Those wets did him absolutely no favours at all. But the sad thing is that I think we're probably going to see the drivers coming into pit onto those wets within the next couple of laps by the looks of that track.
He's standing in a dangerous spot, so it could be a safety car. I don't know if he's still there.
Where is he?
He's off track now. He's off track.
Okay, so he's off track now.
Yeah, it's always fun in the rain. Takes a toll on your drivers.
The race is alive, that's for sure. So, really interesting race. Certainly what unexpected happened. We've got a number of the drivers out this evening, but even so, it's certainly showing that a number of drivers coming up are starting to shine through, and I'm very impressed, I've got to say, with Stan Drumkov. I think he's did a fantastic qualification, and he's doing a really solid race as well for the Mercedes.
Oh, we got Jamie just behind Mark Stoppers. They're really close to fighting, and the one behind that is Marcel Droning,
a teammate.
Yeah, he might take the advantage over that again if they're fighting. Just as he did before on the Ferrari.
It's very often worthwhile just to sit in the background, see what happens. Basta Breen picks up a 3-second time penalty, not what he wanted. Oh, and he's going wide, Damie. Out of turn 6. But Mark Stapper's unable to take advantage of it. I think he's probably concentrating a bit on your teammate closing in on the back of him. So clearly these conditions are getting very tricky now, even on these intermediates.
Yeah. I think there might be wets coming on pretty
I think
soon.
certainly wets will be coming in very soon indeed, and I think the first one that's likely to go onto those wets will be our race leaders, Nicky Visser and Stan Drumkov. Nicky now coming round turn 5, down to turn 6.
Oh.
Let's watch him now. Xander Hermans, bit of an issue there, gets overtaken by John Donkel. Yeah. I mean, Nicky's going well in this wet, but even so, he's just coming around turn 13 now in the 3rd sector. He's taking it quite easy, but I expect him to come in and pit, I think, now.
I don't know, you know, if you're on...
There's still a racing line there. There is still a dry racing line.
If you see the
so he might not. He might well stay out.
It's a difficult choice, but then again, you know, I don't know how the car feels, so that's...
Yeah. Well, as one looks at it, I mean, Nicky's not coming in, and it does look as if it's handling pretty well, so maybe he'll be able to go another lap or two. Stan Drumkov, he's coming round, he's staying out as well, but Stan is not looking as comfortable as Nicky at this moment in time, and indeed the times show that, because he's actually dropped down to 8 seconds behind Nicky. He was up to about 2.5 seconds, so clearly Stan Drumkov, although he's staying out, doesn't have the same sort of feel. Martin Paardekoper in the Red Bull, let's just watch him now. We're in car just to get an idea of how the cars are feeling, and again, I think he's okay, but not as comfortable. Nicky Visser is looking very, very comfortable in his car. Damie Hartman, he's looking pretty comfortable as well, actually. He's not looking too bad on those intermediates. And Marcel Dronig, he's just coming across now. Let's watch him round these turns here. Yeah, it's not looking too bad. I mean, as I say, the racing line is still okay for those intermediates. You just got to watch it if you miss and go offline out the corners. But Stan Drumkov is definitely sliding far more than Nicky Visser. Nicky is looking quite comfortable at the moment, I think.
Yeah, Stan is really sliding from left to right there. And he's looking for... Yeah, it seems a bit like he's got his traction off. And that's how much he slides. He's looking for traction on... Oh! He's looking for traction on the tarmac. Obviously, if it would have started to rain a little bit harder, I would have set my traction on full. Because then you get that much more grip and control of the car. It is difficult to put it on, to drive it on medium in this type of weather. That's, you know, I don't know how much stuff this does really, but he does. He drives comfortably as well. Goes a bit wide, but you know, in the end he drives relaxed and in control. Oh, second please. Sander Hermans went off.
Oh dear, so Sander Hermans, let's have a see if we can catch up to that.
He's going in.
He's into the pits, Sander Hermans is into the pits. So he's clearly not comfortable. Narrowly avoids the wall as he's coming into the pits.
I thought he was going to park it in the tires over there.
Yeah,
he's gonna
so did I. So Nicky Visser, he's now coming round, but he's staying out still. He's going out for another lap. Stan Drumkov, he's coming round now, turn 15. Is he going to come into the pits? No, he's staying out. He's clearly just going to mirror whatever Nicky Visser does.
Peter Phillips comes in just behind Sander Hermans on his out lap.
So this is proving to be quite interesting, is to see who can last the longest on those intermediates. We are expecting this weather to actually, or the rain to stop and for it to go back to dry conditions and that's really going to mix it up. So we're on lap 25, the 67.
That's a blue flag.
Looks to me, I don't know if that's Mark Stappers that's closing in on the back of Nicky Visser.
No, that's
Peter Phillips.
traffic. Yeah, that's true.
So Peter Phillips, I mean, Peter Phillips can try to overtake, certainly. I mean, he's closing in on Zander Hermans now, who's in P10. Peter Phillips is carrying P11, but if Peter Phillips were to close in on our race leader Nicky Visser, he's got every right to overtake, indeed, as has Zander Hermans, because they are allowed to obviously unlap themselves. But Nicky's staying out again. So Nicky's staying out again. Stan obviously mirroring what Nicky's doing, staying out still. Martin Parder-Cooper, he's just coming around the end of sector 3. Is he going to stay out? As I say, a look at that racing line, it's still looking okay. But they do have to stay on that racing line. If they go off, they will have problems. Damie Hartman, he's still in P4. And the more points he gets, the better it is for him. P4, that'll be 12 points. That'll put him 4 points ahead of Seb Bogart in the championship. But he's into the pits now, so Damie Hartman comes into the pits. He'll be looking to go onto wets. So our current podium finishers are still on the intermediates, still out on track. Mark Stappers now moves up to 5th place. Marcel Dronig moves up to 4th. And Marco Pullen moves up to 6th as Damie Hartman drops down to 7th. He's now got John Donkel, Bas de Breen, and Bas is still in 9th. He's pulled up 2 places, but it's not looking good so far for him, really, for the Ferrari driver.
So Damie's got full wets on now. And you got only some there, so the other guys are still driving with intermediates.
They're still on intermediates, so it's only Damie Hartman and Zander Hermans who are out on track on the full wets. Everyone else is still on those intermediates. Let's watch our race leader go on board now with Nicky Visser and see how he's dealing with these conditions. And that racing line is starting to definitely get a lot wetter now. Just watching down into turn 6. Early braking, obviously, to maintain control. Nice and easy around that turn. Good acceleration out of 6 into 7. That's what he's looking for. Well, I mean, he's still able to race. I mean, he's still maintaining his position. He's not having any twitchy moments because obviously he's taking good care.
Yeah.
It could be that he might want to try and see if he can last out this rain, because we do know that he's going to dry up. So is he thinking to himself, right, if I don't pit, all I'll need to do is just pit onto dries if it dries up, or if I need to go on to the wets.
We've got a few more guys.
Yeah, John Donkel's coming into the pits. And yeah, Nicky's now coming into the pits. Stan Drumkov coming around. Now, what is Stan going to do? Is he going to stay out or is he going to come in? What's he going to do? Now he comes in. So Stan Drumkov comes in. Martin Parder-Cooper now coming round.
Oh.
He's still a way behind these guys. He's just coming into sector 3 now. So Martin Parder-Cooper is on the wets, but he isn't going to be able to get any sort of cut on Nicky Visser as he's coming out onto track, and Stan Drumkov as well. So they will maintain that 1st and 2nd place. Martin Parder-Cooper in the Red Bull will be in 3rd. Mark Stappers is still, Mark Stappers into the pits now from 4th, as is Marco Pullen. Damie Hartman, he's obviously on the wets, so he will move up into 4th place, where he was, and Mark Stappers picks up a 3 seconds. Was that a 3 second or a 5 second for speeding in the pit lane? I think it was a 5 second for speeding in the pit lane.
Yeah.
Now, this has released Bass somewhat. Marcel Droning, he's obviously on the wets, he's now P5. But Bass de Breen, he's in P6, but he is still on those intermediates, but he is up to P6. So Bass de Breen in the Ferrari, he's managed to get himself up in 6th place, but he's still on intermediates. So he will have to pit and go on to those wets because clearly these conditions are not suiting. So I think he's probably one of the few drivers still on those intermediates. Let's have a look. Yeah, only Peter Phillips and Bass de Breen on the intermediate. Interestingly enough, 2 laps ago, everyone else was on the intermediates. Only 2 drivers were on the wets, so it just goes to show. So everything pretty much settled down. We've lost, unfortunately, 4 drivers this evening. Marcel France, Jerome Portmer. Oh, Bassie's coming into the pit. Oh, look at that! No, Peter Phillips smashes out. We caught that on camera. Peter Phillips crashes out. Those intermediates were not helping. He was just coming in, well, in sector 3, coming down to turn 13. Lost control, I think, out of 12 into the barriers, and he is out. So Peter Phillips in the McLaren is out. Marcel France and Jerome Portmer, Toro Rosso are out. Boy Williamson for Haas is out. Guido Ershine, who is with us now for Renault, was out. So 5 DNFs so far. We're running on board with Nicky Visser. But let's go with Marco Pullen because he's the next closest.
I'm wondering what the weather's going to be. Looking up there, I see. Oh, we got Peter Phillips coming in.
So, Peter, we caught your crash there. Looks like you just lost control coming out of turn 12 and went into the wall. Yes, indeed. It certainly shows that way because we've got, obviously, 5 racers DNF'd at this moment in time. But it's going to be interesting. I mean, obviously, your teammate, Mark Schnappers, he's doing pretty well at the moment. He's in 6th place. And he's driving quite a solid race there. Oh! I think there's a bit of contact there with him and Marco Pullen actually just now, because Marco Pullen just got, I'm not too sure if there was contact or whether Mark just went offline there, but Marco Pullen takes the place of him, so Marco Pullen for Sauber moves up in 6th place. Yeah,
but you were still on the intermediates. Why didn't you choose to go to the full wets?
Yeah, because you were on the intermediates and that obviously didn't help there, although the racing line seemed okay. I presume you were going to be coming in for the wets. Well,
We
this
saw
is it.
most of France coming in with the full wet change, I think quite early, and he lost it.
Yeah, Sander's not doing too bad at all. He's in P10, but his teammate Stan Drumkov has really, I think, made this race pretty much himself. He's done well in the qualifying. He's doing really well in this race as well. He's maintaining second place. He's 6 seconds behind Nicky Visser, but Nicky Visser has really done a great job. Obviously, overtook Bastabri quite early on while it was still dry, and Stan Drumkov as well. Bass was clearly having problems on those ultra softs, came in for the softs, but Ferrari not having the best of days. And Ferrari, I mean, Guido, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the last 2 or 3 races, they've done well in qualifying, but they just haven't seemed to be able to deliver during the race, have they?
Well, thanks for that. No.
That's okay. Just leave your cutlery drawer alone and answer my bloody question.
Yeah, I know. No. Well, the qualifying was confident, and that's what I said when I came in. I had a lot of confidence there with the car, but you know, in the end, it's just I think I got a tap somewhere, and well, it's gone then.
But I was referring to Ferrari. I mean, Ferrari are not having a great sort of past like 2 or 3 races. They haven't really had a great race. They've had a lot of misfortune during the races, and it's especially for Bass. I mean, he's certainly the past couple of races, he's had incidents which have pushed him back down the field, and it's pretty much been replicated here in Germany. Same sort of thing happening.
Yeah, so, maybe some personal issues coming into play, and obviously his teammate is not driving, but I know he's looking. But you know, we're just missing him in the car right now, and we hope he's going to be back soon.
Yeah, certainly hope so.
Of course.
Indeed, great driver, great competitor, certainly. And Martin Paardenkoper, though, he's going to be smiling, I'm sure. He's in 3rd place at this moment in time, looking quite solid. I mean, Damie Hartman's 7 seconds, nearly 8 seconds behind him. He's 15 seconds behind Stan Drumkov, who's another 5 seconds behind Nicky Visser, but Nicky's looking very strong. We're halfway through this race now. This is F1 tonight, season 4, race 11 here at the Hockenheim Ring. Started in the dry, but we've gone to wet conditions, intermediates, and now on to full wets. We are expecting this to dry up a bit, aren't we? Again. And safety car is out. Safety car is out. I'm not too sure why.
What happened there?
I think it could be the race conditions. Nobody's gone off track that I can see.
There's so much puddles.
Yeah, it is, because it is really coming down very, very heavily now. And I think that's what we're seeing, is the safety car coming out due to the conditions. Oh. You can see here on this camera, very low visibility. So Nicky Visser coming around the 3rd sector, and you can see there is very, very poor visibility now. Safety car is out. Nicky Visser coming round turn 16 now, so he should catch up to the safety car, I would suspect, somewhere between turns 1 and 4. So he's got to watch out for that. Can't catch up. You can just see, I think, the safety car ahead of him.
So Michael Rowley standing still behind the safety car while he should have overtaken him.
Yeah, Marcel Droning has overtaken the safety car now. So Nicky Visser coming around turn there, indeed. Just up ahead of him is the safety car. And these conditions are very wet indeed. The safety car there on the left now. It is very, very wet indeed. Stan Drunkov now. Now this is a great opportunity for Stan because he'll be able to close that gap up to Nicky Visser and indeed Martin Parder-Cooper as well. So Stan Drunkov's got to be aware that the cars will be slowing ahead of him, and there you can see turn 6. So Stan Drunkov now has caught up to Nicky Visser, so he needs to maintain that gap. Martin Parder-Cooper just coming around turn 6 now, and during the course of this wet conditions I'll probably go more in-car view because we do get a better view, a little bit clearer. So we're on lap 35. Safety car is out due to these wet conditions, and the question is how long will that safety car stay out, because it is going to bunch this pack up in a major way.
Well, this is the first obviously having safety car due to weather conditions.
It is a first. It's
I think the next tire is going to be spikes, because it might be unbelievably hard to drive.
No, it won't be spikes. It will be water. It will be ski blades on the tyres.
Unbelievable. I haven't seen conditions like this before.
Great opportunity because it's really closed the pack up now. Martin Parder-Cooper's closed up to Stan Drunkov now. Davey Hartman, he's not too far off. He's only a couple of seconds behind, so he's closed up as well. So the top 4 drivers closing up. The question is will Marcel Dronig, currently in 5th place, will he have the opportunity to catch up to this pack? So lap 36 and safety car still out. It's every opportunity. It depends how long the safety car stays out for.
Exactly, yeah. And it looks like it's going to be out for a while because there's still puddles everywhere.
It certainly does. Looking very wet indeed.
Looks like Sander Herman is pushing like mad.
Well, he probably is, because it's an opportunity to catch up. Mark Stappers, he's now looking to close down the gap. Malco Pullen as well. Marcel Dronig's now only 8 seconds off the pack, so he will be able to close up. I'm sure Marco Pullen will as well. I think the only one that may not be able to catch up to the pack will be Mark Stappers. But as I say, looking at this, these conditions are not changing. That rain is coming down very heavily indeed. Now, I'm not too sure how the rules go on this, but could we see, well, we know, we are aware that the conditions should be drying up, but it would certainly be interesting to see if they didn't, and then the race would be called.
That would be, yeah, that would be awesome. Well, you know, it's not good for the race, but in the end, if you get realistic conditions, that should be one of the possibilities there, that they stop the race after this, and then well, it comes as a surprise for them.
It would certainly come as a surprise, I think, as it would do in real world, but remember, this is esports, and we do look to obviously mirror the real world, so if that element were to come in during the gameplay, it's not one that I've certainly aware of or seen before, but it's every possibility. So we're on lap 37 and safety car's still out. No signs of it coming in because this rain is certainly not getting any lighter. So that is correct. I'm not too sure how many laps it would be, but that is correct. That is a possibility. So Nicky Visser, he's currently leading this race, and let's have a look and see how that might pan out if the race were to finish with Nicky in front. He would actually gain, obviously, the full 25 points. That would put him on 102, which would put him ahead of Bas de Breen. Bas de Breen, at the moment, he's currently in 9th place, so he'd only pick up 2 points. That would put him on 96. Nicky Visser would then move up into 3rd place with 102. Damie Hartman, who's currently in 4th place, well, he'd pick up 12 points. That would put him in the lead of the championship. Safety car is in. Yep, so we are back to race conditions. So the rain has started to ease off a little bit, but Nicky Visser now, he's in that 1st place. Safety car is in. Stan Drumkov is only 6/10 off the back of him, but look at Martin Paardenkoper. He's there as well, as is Damie Hartman, Marcel Dronig, and Marco Pullen. John Donkel just behind them, Bas de Breen as well, so it really has bunched up the whole pack now. And Martin Paardenkoper trying to make the move on Stan Drumkov. Yes, he does in turn 6. Can he make it stick though? They're side by side coming out of turn 6. Martin Paardenkoper just slightly ahead. He's got the advantage into turn 7. He's got the inside line, but look at this, Damie Hartman getting into the mix as well now. So Martin Paardenkoper trying to stay in. Damie Hartman going wide. Goes off track there. Martin Paardenkoper takes 2nd. Stan Drumkov is in 3rd. Marcel Dronig has moved up into 4th. Marco Pullen, he's moved up into 6th. Bas de Breen, he's 7th. Damie Hartman gets that 4th place back. But it's a tough one now, because they are racing, but it is under wet conditions, and they are very, very close to one another. And Martin Paardenkoper already starting to stretch out now from Stan Drumkov. 1.5 seconds. Damie Hartman, he's only a couple of tenths off the back. Damie Hartman's only a couple of seconds off the back of Stan Drumkov now, less than that now, a few tenths. And Marco Pullen in the mix as well. But Bas de Breen, well, this has been a godsend to Bas de Breen. He's moved up to 6th place. He's right up behind these top 5 drivers, so this really has helped him tremendously. And once the conditions start to dry up, it's going to be very interesting indeed. Oh, look at that! Marco Pullen goes, close. Damie Hartman, goes wide out of turn 6. So Damie clearly having issues with low speed traction, even on these wets, and not having the best of it. Stan Drumkov, he's in 3rd place, but Martin Paardenkoper, great show from him, up to 2nd place. Nicky Visser obviously still heading this race now, but very close battle here between 4 and 6. Damie Hartman, Marco Pullen, Bas de Breen closing up as well. Bas, I'm sure, going to be looking to try and make that move on Marco Pullen as soon as he can. But equally, Marco is zoning in on Damie Hartman. And Damie Hartman equally is zoning in on Stan Drumkov. So very close here between 3 and 6. Certainly worthwhile keeping an eye on it.
I've just been checking some forums, and it said that basically the safety car does come out when it's heavy rain, but on some forums it's experience is like a bit random, but it does come out since F1 2017 on heavy rain.
There we have it. As I say, I mean, ultimately, you know, if we're looking to mirror real world racing, that's what would happen. And we are on full race. So again, do remember, this is F1 tonight. This is season 4, race 11. And we are one of the very few leagues, I don't think there are too many, that actually race full race.
Oh, Sander Herman.
Sander Hermans comes off. Yeah, Zander Hermans is out, just missed that. So Zander Hermans has DNF'd. Not too sure where that was. Let's ride on board here with Marcel Dronig. We might just catch the Mercedes. He's coming into turn 7.
Just as you said, F1 tonight is one of those racing leagues. We do 100% race, 100% qualification.
Now this is interesting. Marco Pullen,
And,
sorry, just to
problem.
quickly mention here, this Marco Pullen has actually come into the pits and gone on to intermediates.
Really?
So Marco Pullen has gone on to intermediates. He's the only, well, sorry, Marcel Dronig as well. He's in as well onto intermediates.
Yeah, but that's not right. He's second one. It's really dry now. Well, not really dry, but it's drier than it was before.
So this is, oh, look at this, Damie Hartman going in deep, trying to make the move on Stan Drumkov in that 3rd sector, goes in too deep, but maintains that 4th place. But Bas de Breen, he's moved up into 5th place now, and he's now zoning in on Damie Hartman. And if Damie continues to make those mistakes, I'm sure that Bas will take full advantage of it. So this is really important, because this race here between Bas de Breen and Damie Hartman is very important for their championship, because this is for 2nd place in the championship. And now Bas de Breen is right behind Damie Hartman. Nicky Visser's in the pits now. So Nicky Visser into the pits. Martin Paardenkoper has decided to stay out. Bas de Breen.
Dunkel's one of those wet drivers, but he's struggling with the full wets. So he's going on the intermediates as well.
Onto the intermediates as well. Stan Drumkov, Nicky Visser. So Bas de Breen, Damie Hartman, Martin Paardenkoper still out, and I'm pretty sure they are still on those wets. Yes, they are. Stan Drumkov is the only other driver on the wets as well. So now this is the question. Can they try and get a cut on Nicky Visser? This is going to get very interesting indeed now.
Around those full wets, they're going to be overheating quite rapidly if they don't get enough.
Well, they need to go onto the wetter. They need to go off the racing line, basically. Go off the racing line on the straights, stay on it in the corners, but cool your tyres down on those straight sections by going off the racing line. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, and Martin Paardenkoper coming into the pits. Damie Hartman sliding into the pits, but Bas stays out. Bas can see an opportunity here, and he is going to take full advantage of it, because he will take the lead of this race. And now he really needs to get that Ferrari engine working and getting as much speed as he can on those straights and be as cautious as he can into those corners. And this is going to help him tremendously if he can stay on track and get the speed as well. Nicky Visser, he's now out on track. He's P2. Marco Pullen, he's P3 now behind his teammate. Martin Paardenkoper, P4. Stan Drumkov, P5. Damie Hartman, he's dropped down to P6. John Dunkel in the Force India, P7. Mark Stappers in the McLaren, P9. Marcel Dronig now in the Renault, bringing up the rear in P9. So Bas de Breen, he's got 8 seconds at the moment on Nicky Visser. It's not going to be enough, but it is certainly going to help him. If he pits now, he should come out round about 6th or 7th. Really, on this strategy that he's trying to work here, he needs to stay out for another couple of laps on those wets if he's going to take advantage of it. And he comes in. Yeah, it's too much. He comes in. So Bas de Breen is in now. Nicky Visser just coming round the final turn. So Nicky will take P1 back. Marco Pullen will move up to P2, and this is a great result here from Marco Pullen. obviously timed that pit stop. He came in early, remember, Marco Pullen with Marcel Dronig, but Marco seems to have been the one that's won out. Marcel Dronig, unfortunately, is down in ninth, but Marco seems to have made it work for him. And he moves up to P2, and there's every possibility we could see a 1-2 from Sauber this evening now. Martin Pardakuper, he is just under 2 seconds behind Marco Pullen. So good result for Red Bull as well. Stan Drumkov still in the mix. He's there in P4. He's just under 4 seconds behind Martin Pardakuper in third. Davey Hartman is just trying to fight here with Basta Breen. Oh, this is close between these two now. As they're coming into the third sector, and Davey does stay ahead of Bass. So Bass did come out P6, as I thought. But, he's looking to fight his way through. He's got the pass of Davey Hartman and Stan Drumkov ahead of him, but Davey closing in on that Mercedes. So again, yep, and that's Stan Drumkov into the pits now. So Davey Hartman, Basta Breen, these guys battling it out. John Donkel now starting to close on the back of him as Davey came in.
So Peter, how does Stan talk to you if he does finish, and obviously you didn't? You're gonna feel that, or what's gonna happen there? Yeah, he probably will.
Excuse me, Germans. I'm sure he will. I think that's pretty much as we would say in English, a given. So yeah. We can. Sorry, who is? Stan, indeed. Yep. He is the youngest driver we've got, isn't he?
And the shortest.
And the shortest, but that's not necessarily a disadvantage.
No, not in this one. Oh.
And Damie's picking up a 3-second time penalty there for exceeding track limits. But it's great to see, obviously, that, you know, young driver in the league, and at that age, getting good race experience. He can only get better.
It's just frustrating for us older guys, you know. See these young guys flying over the track like it's nothing, and they just learn so quickly how to control these things.
Now you know how Alonso feels.
It's well, and he has. What do you think about the car?
I think the car for Abu Dhabi for this weekend looks awesome. And I think it's just a shame that, the way I look at it is it's a shame that Alonso has had the seasons, the past three seasons that he's had with McLaren. It's such a shame. And we saw Jenson Button obviously leave at the end of last year, and I think he made a good move. It's sad to see McLaren really suffering so much. Well, let's hope that next season they come through, and let's hope that Sauber come through as well, because remember, they'll have the Ferrari driver of Kimi. So
that would be awesome. That would be awesome. You know, I just hope Kimi just really, the real Kimi, not our Kimi, but the real Kimi, just really takes advantage of his of the car, because they obviously got new people coming in to take control of it, and I think it's going to be awesome next year. You know, Red Bull with the new engine. I don't know what Ricciardo's going to do there.
Well, let's not forget indeed that Ricciardo's going to Renault, and I was actually reading a tweet from him today about how he came to the decision, and it's a good read. I think it was on tweet or on Facebook, I'm not too sure which, but it's a very good read. Oh dear, and Stan Drumkov very nearly going into the back of the Renault there of Marcel Dronig out of 6, but these conditions are starting to dry up. We're on lap 47 of 67, and I get the feeling the rain is definitely slowed down, but if it stops, we could possibly look at going on to dry tyres.
He's pushing too hard. He's going wide.
Stan Drumkov clearly looking to try and get past that Renault, and Marcel Dronig, he is pushing hard. John Dunkel, he's in P6. Basta Breen still in P5. So Basta Breen still in P5 behind Damie Hartman, and Damie Hartman still trying to close the gap down to Martin Paardekooper. So still a real fight going on here, but Martin Paardekooper's not far off the back of Marco Pullen still. He's maintaining that gap under 2 seconds, and it could still be anyone's. 19 laps remaining of this F1 tonight. German Grand Prix here at the Hungaroring. Hungaroring, what am I saying? Hockenheimring, sorry.
I was thinking.
Yeah, I was going to say Hockenheimring, sorry, I'm getting my Austrian and my German mixed up there.
So we next week we're gonna have probably Monaco on the Hungaroring or what?
Yeah, undoubtedly. I'm not on 100%, guys. Give me a break.
No, that's true. That's true. You'll forgive me.
Thank you.
But whenever are you on 100%? That's the other question.
Well, let's not go there. Let's not go. Let's leave that one for another race. But this important fight here, as I say, I mean, obviously it'd be great to see a 1-2 from Sauber, and that would certainly give them a great result there. I mean, that would give them 43 points in the Constructors' Championship, and would actually move them up very clearly into 3rd place. Nicky Visser, as I say, pretty sure would still overtake Bass if they stayed where they are. Bass would pick up 10 points. So Nicky Visser would still jump ahead. No, he wouldn't, sorry. He would be 2 points behind Basta Breen if they finish in this order. But Martin Paardekooper picking up valuable points, certainly. So Stan has made the move on Marcel Dronig in the Renault there. So Stan Drumkov moves up. Stan Drumkov moving up to 7th place. He's 10 seconds down the road from John Donkel. John Donkel, good solid race though, again. P6 at this moment in time, looking good for him. Basta Breen's still stuck in that P5, and he's losing time to Damie Hartman now. Damie Hartman closing in on the back of Martin Paardekooper, but equally Martin Paardekooper only 5/10 now off the back of Marco Pullen. This is only helping Nicky Visser because he's another 5 seconds down the road. So the question now is, can Martin Paardekooper make that move on Marco Pullen, or is Damie Hartman sitting in the background there going to take advantage of those guys if they start fighting? It's always something you've got to be aware of here. Basta Breen clearly is losing pace because he's now 4 seconds behind Damie Hartman, and he's actually got John Donkel, I think, closing down on him. there might have been a slight error there. He's definitely losing time to Damie Hartman. To Damie still on the back of that Red Bull, and that Red Bull still on the back of that Sauber. So very close between third and fifth. Sorry, third and fourth, or rather second and fourth, get it right. Very close racing between these three guys here, between 2 and 4, as they come round turn 6 now. Conditions don't look as if they're getting to get any drier, so unlikely we're going to see the drivers going onto a dry set of tyres. I think it's pretty safe to say that they will be finishing on these intermediates. And the tyres, well, now this is the other question. We've got 16 laps to go. If they have to go on these intermediates, how long will it be before they need to pit from those intermediates? Because those intermediates will only probably go to the mid-teens, won't they? Anybody? Hello? We've got 16 laps. Can those intermediates effectively go 27 laps? Is the question. No. Yeah. Oh, hang on. Oh, sorry. Martin Pardakuper making the move out of turn 6 now on Marco Pullen. Drives Marco Pullen wide, and that means that Damie Hartman is now only a 10th off the back of that Sauber. So Martin Pardakuper makes the move in turn 6 on the Sauber of Marco Pullen, takes second place, but Damie Hartman now is all over the back of that Sauber as well. But Marco Pullen not giving up. He's Damie Hartman going wide there. So coming into the third sector, but Marco Pullen, he's not giving up. Still trying to close down to Martin Pardakuper.
Was it a clean overtake or did they hit?
It was, yeah, it was. He did drive Marco wide out of turn 6, but it was certainly clean.
And how much did you wanted to go? 27 laps on intermediates. It's a lot, yeah, but you know, it's with this. It just depends on the weather and on the dry line. If the line dries up too quickly, you know the tires will. Yeah, it will ruin the tires, and you know it's there's
Damie
so
Hartman,
many.
sorry, Damie Hartman now making the move again. He's going deep, loses it in turn 6, tries to make the move on Marco Pullen, goes in far too deep, comes off losing on that one. He's still within a second of Marco Pullen, but really went in far too deep, went for a late break, didn't work out for him. But you can see Bastabreen, look, closing in on the background here. He's only 1.9 seconds off the back of Damie Hartman. So this is going to be a very, very close finish to this race. We've only got 14 laps to go. We are 3/4 of the way through this race. It is still raining, but it is definitely light rain. And we are starting to see that driving line drying up a little bit more. It is obviously still intermediate. Still intermediate conditions, but look at that, Damie Hartman trying to make the move here. He's alongside Marco Pullen, gets out ahead of him. Can he make it stick in turn 6 again? No, yeah. Marco has the advantage on that inside line, but Damie is pulling out now, trying to see if he can take him round turn 7. Does make the move, nicely done into turn 7. Can he make it stick? Round 8 now. Yes, he does. Great move there. Great move there from Damie Hartman. Takes 3rd place from Marco Pullen. And now Basta Breen. He's closing
yeah, I was just going to say.
on the back of that Sauber. John Donkel makes the move on Stan Drumkov, moves up into 6th place. So John Donkel makes the move on the Mercedes, and Stan Drumkov moves up into 6th, but Basta Breen zoning in now on the back of that Sauber. Damie Hartman not giving up the fight. He's still trying to close down Martin Paardekooper. And as I say, the one that's winning from this, and he's led more or less from the start after he made an early overtake on Basta Breen, who didn't seem to be too comfortable on those ultra softs at the beginning of the race. Nicky Visser, our race leader. We're watching Marco Pullen as the Ferrari edges ever closer. He's got to try and keep him at bay. It is important for this championship. Only a very few points.
Oh, Marco's sliding a bit.
He is. Marco starting to slide. But if Marco can keep Bass back, he's giving the opportunity to Nicky. John Donkel is out. John Donkel in the Force India has DNF'd. He is out. Not too sure what happened there, but is it that we're starting to see this racing line dry up now? But surely it's not time. Still got Welter coming down. They couldn't go on to softs. We've still got 11 laps remaining.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at Mark Stappers. He's still on wets.
No, he is on intermediates.
Alright, then my the tires that are showing are blue.
Guido, as much as I appreciate your housekeeping qualities...
Oh, that's not me. That's Peter.
Who's that then? Peter, stop doing the bloody washing up during the broadcast. Good sake, man. Oh, seriously.
Oh.
Mute your mic and then do the washing up.
Yeah, you can apologize to me, because you obviously blame me.
Yeah, well, I blame you because you're normally the person that has their mic on in all conditions.
Yeah.
Thank God you're not a late night player or an early morning player, that's all I can say.
I love you too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Nicky Visser, our race leader at this moment in time. Martin Paardekooper in the Red Bull. He's in 2nd place. Damie Hartman in the Haas is in 3rd. Important for Damie to try and stay ahead as much as he can of Basta Breen, but Basta Breen did make that move on Marco Pullen. We just missed that. So he has now moved up into 4th place. Marco wasn't able to keep him at bay. Marco Pullen dropping down to 5th place, but he's had a good race. I think he can still pat himself on the back. It's been a challenging race. Got 10 laps remaining now. Damie Hartman. This is still anyone's really for that 3rd place on the podium. And Guido, I don't know, could you just... oh, look at this. Damie very close in now on the back of Martin Paardekooper, almost running into the back of him. But Guido, if you could just check on any penalties that haven't been applied as yet, because I think they will come into play at the close of this race.
I don't know if it shows, but let me see.
Yeah, it should do if you go on to director.
Incidents on drivers, or... Oh, here you go.
So, Nicky Visser, 8 seconds down the road from Martin Paardekooper, who's in 2nd. Damie Hartman's in third, but he's only 5/10 off the back of Martin Paardenkoper. Bas de Breen, he's 2 seconds now behind Damie Hartman. So he is starting to close that gap down.
Bas has got a few penalties. Mark has got a few penalties. Damie's got another one.
Still be close.
I think Damie's got about 9 seconds already, what I'm looking at.
So Damie has another 9 seconds potentially to add. Oh dear, and there's debris there on turn 6. I'm not too sure if that will come into play. It hasn't cleared as yet. So Damie will certainly have a 9-second time penalty to apply, and that's going to totally ruin his race, and it's going to move Bas up into third place.
Yeah, Bas got a penalty as well.
Has he just got the one?
Yes. Yeah, he's just got one. And then he's got 1 stop to go where I got taken out. That's 1 penalty, and 1 penalty, and another penalty. Yeah, 3 penalties.
So he's got 9 points. So he's six seconds. That
No, 9
Bas
seconds.
will, yeah, but 6 seconds between him and Bas.
3, yeah.
Yeah, so that will mean that Bas, if they finish in this order, will still get that podium finish in third place. And that's a great result from him, because he's really not had the best of races. And Damie Hartman closing in more and more on the back of Martin Paardenkoper. Now, this does mean, I'm not too sure how many points Marco's got, but I think Marco might well be in with a chance here if he stays on. I don't know if he's got any penalty points against him, but that could be interesting, because if he hasn't, I think he might be able to actually take third place on the podium if he closes in to a little bit more
if
to
Marco
Bas.
makes one more mistake, he's going to get a penalty, but that's going to be 3 seconds, and the rest is clean.
So if Marco can close down that gap to under 3 seconds to Bas de Breen before the close of this race, and they stay in this order, that means that Marco would take third place on the podium.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. Damie Hartman, we know, has got 6 seconds against him, so he will not have a podium finish if they finish now in this order. Bas de Breen, he's got 3 seconds, so he would finish ahead of Damie Hartman, but Marco Pullen has the potential, if he can close down that gap between himself and Bas de Breen to under 3 seconds, to actually take that third place on the podium. So this is very interesting indeed. And we're on lap 60, the 67. We do still have rain coming down, so it is very much looking as if intermediates will be finishing off this race. But anything can happen. The rain could stop in the next couple of laps, and that might mix it up a bit more. But if it stops any later than that, I don't think it will have any effect.
Oh, we got
John Donkel has joined the party.
To broadcast with his audio on.
So, John, sorry to see you go out, because you were doing well. It was a good race, but you didn't catch what happened.
No, I had a big fight with Stan at the. Oh, it was the 5th corner, or the 6th one. I was too early on my throttle, and yeah, I crashed out.
So that was coming out of turn 6, I guess, when you sort of put the yeah. So you spun out of turn 6. Well, it's an easy one to do, especially in these conditions. But we're watching a very interesting race here. Obviously, Nicky Visser in the Sauber is in the lead. Martin Paardenkoper in the Red Bull is second. Damie Hartman's closing in on the back of him. He's currently P3, but Damie has 9 seconds worth of penalties. Bas de Breen has 3 seconds worth of penalties, so Bas would take 3rd place on the podium, but Marco Pullen has no penalties at this moment in time, and if he can close down to under 3 seconds,
no, he's not going to do that because he's losing time.
He was losing time.
He was about 4 seconds the first time we talked about the penalties difference, and now he's about 6 seconds. So he's losing major distance over Bas.
Well, we still have 5 laps remaining, and he still does have the possibility to catch up. If he can take a second out a lap, he could still potentially finish. And I think he has it within him, but
a second a lap.
Needs to concentrate
with these conditions
now.
With tires shot, no, I don't think so.
Well, I'll hold out hope.
Obviously, on this track, tires are getting overheated quite easily.
Yeah, indeed.
Oh,
as I said, I mean, this is the important. Stan Drumcott picks up a 3-second time penalty there.
I think Stan's got to look out.
Again, close in Martin.
I don't know how much.
Damien hit Martin. Damien has front wing damage. Left side.
Damien, well, he's picked up quite a few penalties, unfortunately. He does have. He's lost a few of the winglets there on the right side of his front wing, so that is not going to help him at all with his downforce. Certainly into those left-handers. And this is going to give Bas a great opportunity now. And I'm sure that that Ferrari driver can smell the blood in the air. He's got a great chance now to take that 3rd place on the track as opposed to the points.
I have to mention, because in the middle of the competition we had a safety car situation due to the due to the weather conditions. It was raining
we were
so
talking about
hard.
We were talking about that, and it was like we checked it on a forum, and they were supposed to have that as well on F1 2017, and obviously when it rains too hard.
Sorry guys, I'm just going to interject here because Bas de Breen has just made the move on Davey Hartman into turn 6.
And so he gets a penalty again.
Yeah, so he's now got 12 seconds worth of penalties. If he picks up another one, he will be disqualified.
Yeah, and it's going to be, anyway, if he doesn't pick it up, you know, it's just interesting for Marco Pullen.
He will be dropped down.
Because he will be dropped down.
Marco Pullen will definitely take 4th place.
I don't think Jamie's want to take the risk of coming in because obviously you said the front wing is shot or is damaged, and he's just not coming in because it obviously makes him lose more ground. But now it just doesn't work anymore. He stays out.
But it could also be very interesting for Stan because he's closing in on Marco.
Well, Stan is still 4.5 seconds
Marco's
off the back.
We've
only got 3 laps remaining. Unless Marco makes a major mistake, I don't know if Stan will be able to catch up to him. And we were talking about Stan, obviously the youngest driver in the league at this moment in time, but he's put in a good show. Certainly during the course of this race, he's been racing very well indeed.
Could even be interesting from what to join.
Yeah, I think Marcel will certainly move up the scale there.
Ooh, Marco Pullen goes wide.
He does. He doesn't like that turn 6.
He also takes up the penalty.
3-second time penalty now. So Marco's got his first 3-second time penalty. Damie Hartman, he's still in 4th, but he's dropping right down behind Bas de Breen. And Bas de Breen now closing in on Martin Paardenkoper. Nicky Visser certainly safe. He's 12 seconds almost down the road to Bas de Breen, and clearly, barring any incidents, will take this win. But Bas de Breen now, he's got 2 laps where he needs to catch up to that Red Bull and potentially take second place on the podium. Very, very important to Bas for the championship, these points.
I have to say that's an unbelievable drive of Nicky Visser, because he's driving really, really consistent, and it's just very, very good.
He has been. He did take Bas de Breen in the dry conditions at the start of this race, because Bas didn't seem to be dealing too well with those ultra softs, and he did actually take the place from him on track, which was a great move, and he's maintained it all the way through. So great drive, certainly, from the Sauber driver Nicky Visser.
Stan is closing in on Marco within 2 seconds now.
Yeah, but Bas going a little bit wide out of turn 15, and I think he's starting to get fusion. This is the issue here. He's going to be on that racing line on the corners. I mean, once you're out of the corners and you've got a little bit straight, you can go off the racing line and pick up a little bit of damp, so you can cool those intermediates down. But into those corners, you've got to take that racing line. He's got 1 lap remaining now. Don't think he's going to be able to do it unless Martin Paardenkoper makes a mistake on track. I think
Stan is within a second of Marco.
He is got down to under a second, and I apologise, John, because I didn't think he was going to be able to close down that gap, and Marco must have made an error, surely. But to take 3 seconds out on that lap, that was amazing. But he is indeed closing in on the back. And we're just with Nicky Visser now. As he comes round turn 13, he's in the final sector. So we'll watch our race leader as he completes the 3rd sector to finish, well, not finish this race, but start his 67th lap. Final lap. Final lap of the race. Martin Paardenkoper still in second place, but Bas de Breen only 1.5 seconds off the back of him.
Damien will drop down to 7th place.
He will.
Marshall's also within range.
How many penalties
Marshall has?
Stan Jonkov still bearing down on the back of that Sauber of Marco Pullen.
This is bad. 1 penalty.
Stan Jonkov needs to make that move now. They're on the final lap as they come around turn 1.
Whoa.
He is wholeheartedly breathing in the exhaust fumes from that Sauber. Marco going defensive. Oh, dearie me. Stan just misjudges it.
Bas is within a second.
Damage to his front right wing there, and Bas de Breen still not able. He's got it down to under a second to Martin Paardenkoper as they come out of turn 6. Stan Jonkov unfortunately picks up damage there on his front right wing, so that could be his opportunity gone, but I'm sure he's not going to give up. He's still only 7/10 off the back of Marco Pullen, but Bas de Breen now needs to make that move if he possibly can on Martin Paardenkoper.
Stay alive.
But Nicky Visser now comes across the line to finish this German Grand Prix, takes 1st place. Great result there from the Sauber driver. Marco Pullen comes round turn 16. He will take P2. Bas de Breen for Ferrari takes P3.
Oh, he's without the
Pullen. Marco Pullen, yes, just out of fuel, Bas de Breen. Marco Pullen will take 4th place. Stan Jonkov, I'm pretty sure, will pick up 6. Unless he's got, yes he does. Marcel Dronig gets 6.
6.
Damie
Hartman
dropping down. Picks up 7. And Mark Stappers is 8. So fantastic drive and result there for Nicky Visser for Sauber. He's been so consistent this season. I think he's finished on the podium every race bar one, I think. So he's really great job from Nicky Visser, and that will move him up. He'll still stay in 4th place. Bas de Breen will stay in 3rd place. And Damie Hartman will still maintain that 2nd. Seb Bogart will also maintain that 1st place. Damie Hartman finishing in 7th, he'll only pick up 6 points. So that will put him on 123. So he'll actually only be 2 points short of Seb Bogart for this championship. So very, very interesting indeed.
I have to say, Woods, for everybody watching, you've been with us for a while now, and tonight was one of those nights you didn't have a voice really. And you stuck with it again.
Well, really, I couldn't necessarily broadcast and not say anything, but it held out.
Well,
you could. It held out.
We
so
do
Nicky
appreciate
Visser,
all the effort you put in it.
No worries, guys. It's a pleasure. Nicky Visser takes the win there for Sauber. Martin Paardenkoeper 2nd for Red Bull. Bas de Breen 3rd for Ferrari. Marco Pullen for Sauber 4. Stan Drumkoff for Mercedes 5. Marcel Dronig for Renault 6. Damie Hartman for Haas 7. And Mark Stappers for McLaren 8. Points obviously picked up for John. You got a couple of points there, as did Sander Hermans. Everyone else unfortunately DNF'd. Well, next week, gentlemen, where are we going to be next week?
Hungary.
The Hungaro Ring.
Hungaro.
At least I got that right.
Yeah.
So next week we're in Hungary. I was a bit ahead of time. So don't forget to join us next Thursday evening, 7:30 UK time, 8:30 Central European time. We hope you've enjoyed the broadcast. Apologies for my voice. I will be back next week in full working order. Thanks very much. Good night. And we will see you all next